I rise in support of this legislation and to offer a comment in particular regarding the composition of the mandate review and advisory committee. As I reviewed the legislation, I was quite pleased to see that in the composition of this committee, we have two paraeducators and two teachers as members. I can speak from my 24 years of experience as a classroom teacher that often teachers will sit around in our professional development sessions or in the teacher's room, and we will discuss the mandates that have been put upon the education profession that have become unnecessary, and we're simply perplexed as to why we keep doing them, following them, and paying for them. We also hear the same from our good, hardworking paraeducators. And so, additionally, I think it's great that our stakeholder groups are there at the table. As a nonprofit administrator and board chair of education nonprofit in Connecticut, I've interacted with these groups, and it will be great to have active classroom practicing teachers talking to the superintendents and board of ed and principals associations in Connecticut. And so, while I know that this committee is not going to disappear all of the mandates, the mandates that we have before us in public education, it is a great start towards identifying and eliminating the most onerous mandates that are outdated. And so I'm looking forward to seeing this committee form and the good work that it will do. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I too rise in full support of this bill. And as we've heard echoed throughout this chamber today, to start, our certification regulations are out of date. It has been decades since they have been updated, and in that time, in Connecticut, in our districts in Connecticut, and across our country, we have found ourselves in a great teacher shortage situation. And so we need to think about how this legislation can attract and retain good people into our profession. So I'm going to start and talk a little bit about how it can help attract teachers into our profession. For one, as my good friend and colleague, Representative Brown, shared, if you're a teacher in Massachusetts or Texas and you want to come to Connecticut to teach, you shouldn't have to jump through a bunch of hoops to get your certification. Personally, I was certified into the teaching profession through the alternate route to certification. I went to college in Virginia. I never studied education. I found myself in Washington, D.C. for a little bit, and then in the United States Peace Corps, Central America, where I learned Spanish and decided I wanted to go and share some of the interesting experiences and my love for the language with young people. And I came home, and if it weren't for the alternate route certification, I wouldn't have pursued teaching. I wouldn't have gone in through the traditional route, which would have taken years instead of months, to become a teacher. I was fortunate to have that opportunity, and I think we need to make that opportunity accessible to more and more people with experiences that can be brought to the classroom and positively impact our children. And another feature of this legislation that I think will help attract teachers to the teaching profession is that it reduces the cost of certification. It reduces the assessment fees and the certification fees. It spreads out the certification fees, which, if you're coming out of college, you're getting into a profession that doesn't pay the same as other professions, the cost of certification is a consideration. I also want to speak a little bit about how this legislation will help us retain the great teachers we have in our schools. It's no surprise that since the COVID pandemic, lots of people have been leaving the profession, retiring. It's hard to say we're going to give everyone a giant pay raise. There's only so much money in the pocketbook that we could spend for teacher salaries and other priorities in our state. And so if we don't have the money to increase the salaries for the teachers right now, another lever we can pull is improving the quality of work life for teachers. Now, how might we do that? I can tell you firsthand that the many teachers that I speak with that are frustrated say that they want to have more, they want to participate more in the decisions that affect their livelihood. And so last year, we took a look at the Connecticut Advisory Council for Teacher Professional Standards, the Cactopus Committee, and we updated the membership of that committee. We made that committee of 19 have a membership of 10 teachers. More than 50% of the members of that committee are teachers. We also had the insight to put parents on that committee. We have local Board of Education member on that committee because we want to know the perspective of the local districts. We have people from teacher prep, school administrators, superintendents, and even someone from the business and industry community. This year, the legislation updates the role and the charge of that committee. It charges that committee with weighing in their perspective on the implementation of policies and initiatives that affect the classroom. Think about it. If your car breaks down, you go to a mechanic, you have them look under the hood and help you diagnose what's wrong with your car. If your child gets sick, you call the doctor, you take them to the clinic, and you have the doctor help determine how you can get your child on the path to recovery. If we are confronted with challenges in public education, challenges in our schools, we need to consult the people that work there, the teachers and the administrators and the parents and the people that are impacted. Think about teacher evaluation. Over a decade ago, they passed into law new teacher evaluation procedures. They didn't ask many teachers what they thought about those procedures when they did that. And it took over a decade, and thankfully last legislative session we fixed that with the input from teachers. We need to be more proactive. It's not that we come to this chamber or the folks upstairs come to the Capitol every day and say, what can we do? What can we do to make life hard for families and teachers? How can we mess up education? Everyone in this room and upstairs has good intentions. They want to do what's right. But not all of us have been in classrooms recently or schools to be able to give the guidance and the insight on how to do what's right. And so the updating of this committee's charge will help us to implement and provide guidance to districts that are going to make teachers and schools be proud again. If teachers are at the table and their colleagues in their schools see them at the table, they're going to implement the policies and initiatives with more fidelity. And if the initiatives are implemented with more fidelity, kids are going to do better. And if kids do better, they're going to be able to better live the lives they dream. Thank you.